The Ball Guy Show starts right now. Hope you enjoy the show. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Hey, I just got my book written by my buddy Phil Herman, Invasion of the Horseshoe Crabs. Make sure you grab it from Amazon. It's only $9.99. Phil Herman has been on the podcast twice. He's become a buddy of mine. Man, great film mind. He has a few films coming out within this year, next year. One I'm excited about is Jaclyn 3. The finale of the trilogy, which started over 30 years ago. That's coming out soon. He has Crowbar, which is being worked on. Just to name a couple. His IMDB page will be on the description here, along with the link for the Amazon for this book. Make sure you grab it. It's only $9.99. Or if you like to reading off of your Kindle, your phone, your iPad, whatever, it's only $3.99. So there you go. I'm going to be digging into this book this weekend. My guest today is an actress, writer, director. I'm excited to have her on. Jaclyn, let's bring her on. Good morning. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, JC, we did it. And also, Can I just talk about how much I love your intro music? I was like jamming out.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's my wife's doing. She's the genius behind all the creation, my job is this.
She's the one. I'm gonna give her a huge shout out to her. I think she's super rad. I saw the promo that she did and that you had mentioned to me, and just like the music, and she seems like a really cool lady. So
my wife is the best. My wife is the best. I love my wife. My wife Claudia is the brains in the relationship. She is the brains behind in the relationship. She's the brains here, and let me tell you something. I mean, just without her support, without her, I don't know if you look at my episodes, my last episode, as a matter of fact, with Richard Bergen.
Yep.
She was so busy with work, she couldn't do the intro. So I don't know if you saw the cover of that. I had to use one of his pictures just to do the cover. It's a big difference between her doing the intro versus me, and or the cover of the episode. But yeah, she incorporates whatever pictures I give her, and then she creates the promo behind that, and it's pretty cool. She's very, very smart, very genius. Jaclyn. That's how you pronounce your name, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Tell me about yourself and where you're from, and and when and how did you get started into film?
Okay. Well, I'm Canadian.
Really?
And I'm from Toronto, Ontario originally, and I grew up just being immersed in film and comedy, and being surrounded by the arts. I used to go to theater. Like, I remember going to see Bye Bye Birdie when I was 5 with my grandparents on like live on stage as a production, and seeing Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, things like that. So I will say that I grew up with a lot of privilege in that respect and luxury, because I was exposed so heavily to music and art. And my family's very musical as well. And I remember when I was 5, my dad took me to a shop, like a music store, and he said, "You can pick out one thing." But my dad, of course, like a 5-year-old, is going to be like, "I want this," and it's going to be like trash. But my dad kind of nudged me over to like more of the musical section and everything, meaning like musicals, not just music. We were in a music store. And so he nudged me over and he said, what about this one? And it was the soundtrack to The Sound of Music. And we took it home and he sat me in a rocking chair and he said, all the lights were off. We were like facing the back bay window of my house. So I still have this as a core memory. And he said, close your eyes and I just want you to listen. And then you could just like pick up on all of the pieces that were being orchestrated within the music, right? And I think because I was exposed in that way to music, played the piano, sang, like that's really how I started, was singing and music, that I think it just I kind of just immersed myself, and it's been a journey for sure, but part of how I would relate to people, especially being nerdy and being bullied, was to learn how to joke and find comedy as like a tool to like, mitigate the feelings of being like, oh, you're cutting me so deep with a knife right now because you think I'm a loser, but like I'll find the comedy in this, and I'll try to make people laugh because then they'll like me. And like that thing that you do as a child because you're like, I don't know how to regulate, I guess. But yeah, so I would watch a ton of comedies, like stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, all of that, and then just watched movies. So because again, it was super nerdy, I spent a lot of time watching nerdy like TV shows, movies, and like just kind of eating it up. And so it just made me fall in love with all of that. And same with music, like I said. So like they're just like I'm just very impassioned by them. And then it got to a point where I was in my 20s because everybody was like, have a real job. And I'm like, it sucks. And I went to school and I was like, I hate it. And I was like, why do people do this? But like, I went to school and I was like, I enjoy what I'm studying because I like languages and I enjoy doing this. But I was also taking an elective about women in film and like the history of women in film at the time. And I was like, oh, I mean, that's more interesting to me if we're going to be honest. Like, I love languages because you can communicate across multiple, cultures and backgrounds. But at the same time, I enjoy that. And the storytelling aspect of it, and with language. And again, it's music is a language. So it's the same principle to me. But essentially from there, it was just like, I need to have like an artistic outlet where I'm doing something. So I was doing musical theater where I was touring for a while, doing musical theater. And then my friend said to me one day, and I was like, for the record, everybody says this when somebody's jokey. They're like, why don't you do comedy? And it's like, the first thing you think is, well, I'm not a comedian. And secondly, when people hear you say that you do comedy, they're like, tell me a joke. And it's like, but that's not what I do. That's not the kind of comedy I do.
Right.
Don't give me anxiety. I can't do it. Help. I'm drowning. No, so he had said, why don't you study at Second City? And I said, oh, okay. I mean, I'll look into it. So I went to Second City and started doing improv. And I was like, well, I really like this. And I really enjoyed meeting people and then like going out and playing with them in that way. And like just the discovery of childhood play, basically just make believe all over again. And I was like, this is so fun. So from there, it just became like a snowball effect of agents and then performing more and doing film and television. And like, a lot of it is for someone like me and still, this is part of a journey. It's a lifelong thing for people, but like the imposter syndrome or belief that you don't deserve to do something or that you're not good enough to do something because you see everybody else and you think that they're exceptional. How could you possibly be good like them? And so I had to have the little voice in the back of my head from my grandparents that said, you can do anything if you try. And
Great advice. Great advice.
just like a seed that was planted and just sits there. And I describe it as the little engine that could, and just said, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And then the think I can has led me to getting over several of those hills. But the thing is, the hills never stop, right? Like it's not an easy path. The path is consistently like this. It's just all over the place. So, but it leads you to meeting really wonderful people. It leads you to, I think one of the things that I have a tendency of doing is finding a quality in each person that I just absolutely adore about them. And something special, because I really do believe that every single person has something special about them. And I'd rather live my life being a person who finds the good in people and the special in somebody else and letting them know that I see that. Because what if that's the note that one day they carry with them forward for the rest of their existence, you know? So I try to be mindful that my grandparents gave me this little gift. It doesn't seem like it's a big gift, that has helped me through. It's like the little light on the end of the staff in a dark mountain that you're carrying through, and you're like, I have this little light with me. It's like that. So I'm like, my hope in life is to be a person who does that with other people as well. So yeah.
Do you still sing, and do you still?
Yeah.
And what instrument do you still play?
I used to play the piano. Like I did conservatory and everything for piano. I used to play, and I really loved the piano. What I got irritated by was I would learn a piece, and then they were like, as a kid, they're like, you learn the piece and you show them that you've learned the piece, and they're like, yeah, but can you do it again? And you're like, yeah, but I did this. I've done this for 3 weeks. I've learned it. I read the sheet music. And so I would just get like, I'd get bored because I felt like I wanted to go faster. But the thing is, when you're learning anything, whether it's a language or a piece of music, or you're learning lines, like repetition is your best friend. But as a kid, I was like impatient. I was like, I've already learned it. Give me something new. So I have picked it up again here and there, and I know how to read sheet music, and I know how to do chords and stuff like that. I would just have to sit with the piano for a while to get more proficient at it again. But I do love it. Yes, I sing. Yeah, like I'm really into, I've always been really into R&B and jazz. So that's what I sing a lot. But if you give a girl a musical, she'll find a way.
Well, and speaking of musicals, have you done any musicals? Well, I know you do stage, but
Yeah.
have you, any plans in doing a musical film?
Well, I mean, I was just in a film that had a lot of music based to it, but I wasn't singing or anything in it. But it was, it had a lot of conversation around like Billy Joel, which is really cool because I love.
Which I saw that 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 the guy was singing. The piano man. Which I loved. I love that song. I love Billy Joel.
Have you seen him, by the way?
Huh?
Have you had a chance to see him perform live?
No. I haven't been to many concerts.
JC, if you can find, even if you just look it up and watch him perform, that tiny little beast of a man is the same size as like the piano stool, but he is so charismatic. and so cool to watch perform. Like he stands up and he plays. He's very like he's such a showman for like a dude who's playing a piano. He breaks every rule and convention. It's really cool to watch him play.
I've heard that he's a great showman. Yeah, I have heard that his concerts are super fun to watch.
Yeah.
But not I haven't even I've never. It's funny, I'm a fan, but I've never actually seen his concerts, not even on YouTube. And I'm a huge Chicago fan. I spoke about it before we started recording. I'm a huge Chicago fan. I finally got to see them live a few years ago.
God, so cool.
Before we came to Texas, we lived in Florida. We drove up to North Carolina. My wife and my kids gave that for my birthday as a gift. They knew that that's always been a dream of mine to watch them perform before the last original members retired.
Yes.
And so I got to see them, and it was a treat. It was a real good treat.
That's my favorite band. Phenomenal though too, because they orchestrate their music so incredibly well. Like let's talk about this for a second, shall we? Mm-hmm. Because we were kind of talking about the fact that we were both into classic rock. We both love this kind of music. I grew up with people like Chicago, the Guess Who, like any and all classic rock. Like I grew up really appreciating it, but Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and bands like that, especially people like the Guess Who, and Chicago, Blood, Sweat and Tears, bands like that. If you listen to their music, you're like, fuck, man. Like they take big brass instruments and these gorgeous sounds, and they find a way to incorporate it into something and make it like, just like I know that it's of an era, but at the same time, I feel like it's kind of timeless.
Oh, it is. Take for example, some of those albums, some of the songs that were written back in the 60s or even early 70s, you listen to it today, and it could be a hit today.
Right?
If it just came out for the first time today.
Yeah.
For example, Chicago's original album is called, the original name was CTA, Chicago Transit Authority. Their first album was in 1967. That entire album was great. There's not one bad song. That album comes out today, I think it'll be a hit today.
Yeah. Well, and like the way that music is here, especially like in California, we have record shops, we have like used media and physical media shops everywhere, right? So one of our big ones.
Really?
Yep. It's a very like, people are really into having, like I own records. People are really into owning records. I own also a lot of physical media because I'm a nerd, but people like even VHS, like there's a resurgence I've noticed of VHS and stuff like that too.
Yes, it is.
People are like really freaking into it, man. And I believe it. Like if they put CTA out, like that album, that self-titled album from 1967 out into a store like Amoeba, and they put it at the front and they put it next to say like Kendrick Lamar, like who is popular right now, like the top 10 albums or top 5 albums, and had them on their display, guaranteed people would buy it.
I agree. Guaranteed. I think so, especially if they listen to the music. They can rock. People think of that band and they think of the 80s when they went a little softer.
Yes, they went into yacht rock, which I also like.
I liked it too. I became a huge fan, But if you listen to the 70s, where they had the horns and all that stuff, beautiful music, beautiful.
Totally.
But let's get back into you. What was your favorite movie or movies growing up? What were your favorite movies? What did you enjoy to watch? Because let me tell you something. Me, for example, I could watch the Rocky movies over and over. I could watch Top Gun over and over.
Oh my God.
I can watch all those movies over and over and over. Those are, and me personally, I can't say, oh, this is my favorite movie. I don't have one.
Okay, thank you. I can't it's something that I really struggle with. Get asked that a lot, like what's your favorite movie or what's your favorite music, what's your favorite singer, band, whatever. I don't have favorites because I'm a Care Bear, if you haven't noticed. I'm just like, ah, I love so much. And I'm like, that's really difficult for someone like myself to say. But I will say that things that influenced me at a young age, like I've spoken about this before, and 50th anniversary nod right now to this film. But like, I remember seeing Jaws when I was like 5, and being a little spooked by it because it was like really scary. It's like the part that I saw, like,
Yeah, give me the shark. It's over there. I'm going to show you this. Now
okay.
that you mentioned that, I'm going to show you this. But go ahead. Go ahead. You were saying?
I was super spooked out by this because, oh my God, I'm ready for this. I'm going to die. Oh my God.
They're setting this they're having this in the theater.
Yeah. It's a popcorn thing holder.
Yes, my sons, they went to the movies yesterday and they bought that. They saw it. If they would have known that Jaws was in the theater, they would have seen that. But
the 50th anniversary of Jaws right now, but at the Hollywood Bowl with the Philharmonic music. So what they do is they'll score the music of the film as they show the film tonight at the Hollywood Bowl. And I'm like, or is it tonight, tomorrow night? Oh, I can still go. It's like, and it's, it's an immersive experience. So like everybody knows Jaws and they put it up on the thing, but it's the fact that they play live music with it too. And they play the scoring and everything. And it's gorgeous. Cool. So cool. But so like I was super spooked because my dad had it on and he was watching it with my brother. And there's a part where the scuba diver is like looking around at the sunken boat because, the boat, that's the first boat that they find. And they're like, what's going on down here? So they go down into the water. They're like, oh yeah, I'm screaming underwater with my scuba gear on because like a head pops out. And I'm like, and I was 5. So, but then I was like, ooh, I like that feeling, like whatever that is. Like, I don't know why I like this, but I like this stuff. So I really love Jaws. And the idea of like horror that's psychological like that really takes a long time to build. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I remember when Interview with the Vampire was a thing, and that came out, and I was like, I love vampires. Like one thing that like hit me really hard and influenced me a lot as when I was younger was Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And still to this day, I'm like, please bring it back. Also, please put me on the show, but please bring it back. And like, cause like it's my dream. Okay. Like I am so in love with that universe that they created, the friendships that they created, the world, the jokes, everything about it, like finding a way of blending the horror with the comedy so seamlessly was so cool.
Yeah, didn't they create a spinoff with with Angel, right? The vampire? That's what I thought.
Yeah. No, did not do as well, but
I didn't think so. I never saw the spinoff. I saw episodes here and there of Buffy.
But they had crossover episodes. That's
why. That's what I thought.
So you'll see them in some of that universe, and then so on and so forth. But that really influenced me. And then I remember, like I said, when Interview with the Vampire came out, I was like, oh, it's so broody and dark, and I really like this stuff. And then that led me to, because my older brother, my parents remarried, so my older brother had a film collection, and he was like, if you want to ever watch anything, go ahead. And I was like, okay. So I picked up a movie one day. I was like, who names a movie this? Like, this seems like a stupid name for a movie. So I picked it up and I went to watch it, not knowing anything about it. Just saw the box of the film. That's it. Put it on, and I was like, wow, I'm blown away. And it was Taxi Driver, and it was Scorsese's Taxi Driver, first film of my introduction into him and his world. And I just remember falling in love watching it, like just being really engrossed in it, not just because of the storyline and how the character was portrayed, but like just those very smoky, broody moments that he was able to create, like really picking up on New York as a city, right? Like picking up and like really just like you live the city through that movie, like in the 70s, where it was a crime-riddled city. It was very unsafe to be in it. Like, but there's like a love letter to that city within that film. And I just remember like really just like soaking it in, just like watching the wipers on the as he's like driving with the rain, and the narrative, the way he was speaking through his like madness and everything. And I was like, this is a really cool film. So that kind of stuff really sat with me. But I'm like, you know, if you said, Jackie, do you like Supernatural? The show Supernatural. I'm a absolute huge fan of that show. I've watched it.
I love that show. I love that show.
Thank you. It's phenomenal. The music's phenomenal. The car is phenomenal. As a dude, like as a girl,
I think that's what made me fall in love with that show. You're more the music.
The music. Okay. Those two men are stunning. Okay, like they are beautiful men, and if they want to come and sit with me and have a nice slice of cake and just chat, and also just let me pet them, that's also fine.
Did you say let me pet them?
Yes.
I go, did I hear that correctly? No, yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah, I certainly did. Like, don't get me wrong, but I remember seeing the trailer for that, the promo, and I was sitting with my best friend, and she was like, "Oh, that looks really cool." But I remember like the first thing, it was like, and it like came up on the screen, right? Like the Supernatural, like it's a very simple beginning, and I went, "What is this?" And then I heard the music. I was like, oh, classic rock. What's going on over here? And then I remember the car and the sound of the engine revving. And I was like, I'm sorry, is this an old Chevy? Are we getting into classic cars as well? And then they're like, we hunt things from supernatural legends. And I was like, did somebody just write the story of my entire like existence of something that I would love? Like, because it sounds like they did. And I think that's how a lot of people feel about the show. There's something that relates for every single person. And yeah, so I fell in love with it because of that, because I grew up learning about cars and like working on like cars, like classic cars, especially like muscle cars, and specifically Chevys. So the Malibu, we didn't have the Impala, but we had the Malibu, Camaros, Corvettes, Chevy Novas that were like sleeper cars that had NOS in them and roll bars. Like that's what I grew up with, like that kind of stuff, and classic rock, and going to drag races and seeing like cars like that, and like car shows and stuff like that. And then like I said, like then you add to it these gorgeous men, and you add to it that it's got a spooky element and comedy. Like that's my whole life right there. Like just leave me in heaven. That's it. I'm done. I told you, let me pet them for a little bit and I'll be
Yeah, it was a very cool concept, very cool show. I'm watching it again because I never got to finish watching it. So right now I'm on season 3. I haven't watched it in a while, but I'm going to get back into it and continue watching it from season 3. The funny thing is that you could start out wherever you want.
That's because they built it, and well, I would say season 1 and 2 go together, because I feel like they almost intended to have like an ending if the series were to come to an end. And Buffy does that at like different points, like season 2, season 3, season 5, and season 6, and then season 7. But it does it like where you'll notice at the end of the season, like it's like, oh, it's not coming back. Like if they wrapped it up, it's fine. But I would say like season, like with the rest of Supernatural, like you said, like there's a different kind of challenge that they're facing every season in the arc, right?
Yeah.
Like, so whether it's an angel demon versus like competition thing, or it's like Sam goes bad or something like that, like the internal struggle too, like you can pretty much pick up anywhere. And like with the introduction of people like Cass and like the tricksters and stuff like that, like there's a lot of fun. So there's also like seasons that have more of the comedic arc to it as well, which I really like.
No, so do I. Not only does it have its creepiness, its scary, a little spookiness, but they also bring in comedy,
All the time.
which is one of the reasons I like
Season 2, right? Because season 1 and 2 are very dark, and then the rest of the series is a lot more lighthearted, I would say.
Mhm. Yeah, which is one of the reasons I like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
He's creepy, scary, but the guy is a jokester.
Yeah.
He likes to bring in jokes.
It's
The guy's a silly.
him up. Nightmare on Elm Street is somebody asked me what I thought of the remake of that.
I didn't like it.
Okay, so here's the thing. The first one is phenomenal. The original Nightmare on Elm Street is a great film. When they recreated it, the only thing I'll say about it, because I'm not going to not like it's hard to do. Firstly, could you have done something original? Yes. Secondly, like there's a good and a bad to everything that gets right. But from that perspective, the one thing I did appreciate was that I felt like instead of just like, oh, Freddy was a bad man and he's like this haunting creature, like we don't really know he's in your dreams and he haunts you, which I really love. I did appreciate from a storyline perspective that they just kind of explained his origin story.
I agree. I did like that.
Only thing that I liked about it. Really.
Honestly, I think what I didn't like about it was, and I'm not trying to knock the actor, but it's only one Robert Englund, and
Yeah.
that to me is what because the storyline itself is not bad.
No, not at all.
The movie itself is not a bad movie. I just didn't like
Freddy. It's execution.
I didn't like him.
Yeah, it's the same. Like people also didn't like Rob Zombie's Halloween and stuff. Right?
I didn't.
Right.
Storyline, good. Storyline wasn't horrible.
Right.
I just.
But you know what I didn't like about it?
I'm
not. I like gore to an extent, but I'm not a gore first person when it comes to horror films. I really like one of the things that I really like about Friday the 13th is that for a long time, nobody really understands what's going on. And, you just hear the like, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. And like this like very ominous like threat of the prophecy that's about to be fulfilled, right? Like I really appreciate this like psychological game, and that like you can't get away from him. Yeah. And so when you sleep, you're screwed, and then he comes into the waking world. And is it the waking world, or are you still asleep? It's like that Inception game, right? So like I really like the psychological aspect of it, even though it does involve gore. But like when it's just a straight gore film, like where it's just like, how much intestinal encasing can you see, and like how much blood is there, like it doesn't do it for me. Some people just really like think that's really spooky. I don't. It makes me just kind of check out, like from a horror perspective.
So you're not a fan of Terrifier?
I haven't seen them.
You haven't seen. You're probably not gonna like it because it's that's what it is. I mean, Art the Clown is. I like his character,
Yeah.
But it's like what you say, it's a little way. He's way out there when it comes to the killing.
Interesting.
Um,
Hey, JC.
40. Okay. All right. Um, so what? Who are your biggest influences? Who, as far as actors, writers, directors, blah blah blah.
Um, oh man. So I have God, as an actor, I think again, this comes back to the favorite thing, right? I have a difficult time because I think there's such an appreciation for so many different people for the work that they do. Um, like for example, a woman that I just like absolutely adore is Emma Thompson. And I love Emma Thompson because as a, she can write. She's an incredible performer. She did
Mhm.
clowning as well. Very goofy and silly, completely transforms herself and loses herself in characters and beautiful work, but also plays incredibly grounded characters as well. She can do comedy or drama very beautifully. Um, she's fierce and she's fun. And to me, she's kind of ageless. Because of that and timeless. And then, like somebody like Hugh Laurie, same thing. He's super fun and cool and funny, but can get really dark like he did in House, right? That entire series. Um,
I love his character in the house. He's such a jerk, and he's so
right.
great.
But then
I love it. I love it.
it's such a juxtaposition to his characters that he plays in like Blackadder and stuff, where he's just like a goofball, like dum dum, and like plays like these goofy characters because like other things that he's done, he's very different.
Yep.
I love Steve Coogan. Alan Partridge is like one of the absolute hands down best characters. Just such an actual prick, and like you just like you love this guy, but he's just such a mess of a human being. um I love like I think he's fantastic at those kinds of characters. um I love Kate Winslet, for all different reasons. I like she's just exceptional. Um, and I think she's also very funny, like very underratedly funny. She's just very cool, funny. Um, uh, Emily Blunt is a really cool actor.
Mm.
I think she's really interesting. I love Emma Stone. Like, I think she's just like she's the kind of person you just want to go and hang out with. You see somebody like her and you're like, you know what? I just want to go. Let's go to a show together. Let's go to the park. Let's just make jokes all day together. She's the kind of person that like you feel like you could be like best friends with, you know. But she's an exceptional actor, and it feels like she doesn't let things kind of like. I feel like she doesn't get in her own way, and that might be like overstating something or overstepping. Maybe she works really hard on that, but like I find them all to be really fearless people, at what they do. Like they're very bold and very strong kinds of people. And obviously, like there are like big names out there, big stars out there, but like, Mark Duplass and Jay Duplass, they're also just like underrated, very like grounded actors. Did you see the movie Creep?
No, I,
Oh,
I know of it, but I never saw it.
JC, you would love if you like things that are like slow burns and psychological, that
Hmm.
movie is fantastic. That movie is like absolutely fantastic.
I'll
Um,
check it out.
and Mark Duplass he's the lead in it.
Um, on your film, Are You There?
Mhm.
You wrote that, right?
I did.
That's your creation.
Mhm.
Now, for that role, how did you prepare for that role? How do you prepare psychologically for that? That is a you did a great job, by the way. Great film. I enjoyed it. I love shorts. I've fallen in love with shorts because
Hmm.
shorts, even though they're and honestly, anything over 15, 20 minutes, just make it to a long feature.
Yeah.
But shorts like that, like 6, 10 minutes, Middle C and and Are You There? Uh, those are short but very powerful. So again, great job.
Thank you.
How do you prepare for such a psychological role?
That is a really hard film because I did so much to like I did that. There were 3 people on set that day.
Hmm.
It was me, it was the cinematographer, and the makeup artist slash art director. And I worked with the makeup artist to make all of the like set design and my costume. Like we played with it together. We were like, what would kind of like dirty this up? But here's my concept. And I brought all of the art concepts to it. And like I had like sigils and all of this stuff to draw, which by the way, I also then cleaned up. And it was a nightmare to clean up afterwards. Um, like I was scared that my floors were going to be stained with.
Okay, so you did it at home.
I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
So, yeah, I guess like I wanted a vehicle that like could showcase what I could do as an actor. And so I went with this idea of like, I started with a germ of an idea, wrote it out, and I had very specific tones that I wanted to hit and key issues that I wanted to try to incorporate into it. But it's very different than a normal process where you're given a script and your job is solely to focus as an actor, because with that that film, I was directing it, I was acting, I set designed it, I was PMing it or project managing it and project coordinating, script supervising, keeping track of every single shot list that we had going through it. And then like telling, like describing to the makeup artist what needed to be like, is this something that we could do? Is this possible? But then also being the actor who sits in the chair and gets everything put on them. And then like setting up everything to make sure it's kind of like right. And then like watching the replays of it, while then also having to be in frame and acting on it. So it's I split myself in so many different directions to do that film. So psychologically, to prepare for a film like that, like I'm certain that part of it was that comes through is the anxiety of like managing so many different, like wearing so many different hats at the time. But the overall like psychological process of like going to somewhere that dark is like, it's not easy, for sure. And staying in a place like that over and over again, like it takes, I'll tell you that like people think that acting is, they either like it's complicated, because if you say acting's hard, then people are going to be like, what? And then at the same time, if somebody's like acting's easy, it's like, what? So there's this like middle ground that you kind of meet at any given point, because acting isn't easy. There's a lot of work that goes into
Of
being,
course.
obviously, and a lot of people think that the reason that it looks easy is because it's natural, and it's grounded. But if you say that acting's easy, then it's like, well, are you doing the work that really gets you to this point where you like understand what other people go through? Are you able to portray that for other people and like really connect with people on that level? So it, again, with that role specifically, it's very complicated because there's a lot that I had going on up here for the job. The other thing is I play all the roles in that film.
Yeah.
So I'm the lead person in it. I'm the demon in it. I'm the best friend in it. All
I
of
was
those,
just gonna ask you. I go, who was the one talking that you're talking to that calls you? That's you. Oh, okay.
and the
You
person
play
at the
her.
door, that's me.
Mm.
That's all me. And all of the sound work that you hear in it, with the exception of the music and some of the like stings and stuff like that, those were added by the editor who
Hmm.
did a beautiful job editing. Um, the editors on that film were great, but the all of the growls and like the chanting and the crying and all of that stuff, that's all me too. The
Wow.
wailing, the screaming, everything, that's all me.
Yeah, I
So
enjoyed the film. Great job. Great job. And again, that was like what, 10-minute film? How long did it take to film
well,
that?
we did some B-roll and inserts on the Friday, and that took the cinematographer some time to do. But while he was doing that stuff, the art director, makeup artist, and I were creating like again, like the set design and prepping everything. I spent time like prepping for like blackout to make it look like night because some of it was shot during the day. And then prepping my outfits and stuff and my like wig and everything for the creature. And then so that was like several hours on the Friday, but then principal photography was done on the Saturday, and we started at 8 or 8:30 in the morning, and we did not wrap until 1 in the morning, and I
Wow.
didn't stop. I didn't take a break other than maybe to go pee once, like during the entire day, because there was just too much to get done, right? There's a lot of shots, and in fact, there was more to the script, and it got like cut out. Um, there wasn't the coverage, so but there were other parts of the story that kind of led it to getting like telling more of the creature
Mhm.
side of things. Um, and you know, there's a lot of the thing is with filmmaking and like anything when you're on set, like nothing ever goes smooth, right? Like you can prep. The thing is, like you can be the most meticulous person and prep all day long, but on the day, like the mic not may not start picking up your recordings properly, or um, you can't get the autofocus on the camera to like figure itself out for like a certain shot. Like even in Middle C when we were filming, like we had a set of like 11 people on set that day,
Mm.
and out of a crew of 11 people with additional help for the cinematographer, a sound recordist, and like ACs and ADs and everything, they were still having difficulty, like technical difficulties here and there. Granted, they were small, but like those moments of like, oh, the focus isn't coming into focus. Like we changed the lens. It's not picking up on the focus now, and they can't find the focal point on the lens. Or you know, we have the lighting here, and then you set up a shot, and you're like, okay, well, the lighting is we're getting like a bounce back now because of the time of day, or we're getting certain shots, like you start filming and then you're like, shit, like I can see something in a reflection of a mirror, or you're like, okay, now I have to reset all over again for that, and then you have to like set up your set deck again and like really decide like how that's going to look. You know, there's always a minor thing that even if you think you've accounted for it, every single change is basically like you're like doing a new film all over again every time. So um, you just have to have an incredible amount of patience. And I think the most important thing when you're doing work is, are you having fun? Because a lot of it can be very grueling. but are you having fun with the job that you have? Do you appreciate it? Do you have gratitude for the work that you're doing? And also, like, are you having fun, like, with the people that you're doing this with, right? Because it's a job, right? And you're not, just think of it like an office. You don't always get some people you're like, man, I'm so glad, like, you're my best friend at work or whatever, right? Like, you've got some of the coolest people that you work with, but then you've got folks that you're like, I probably wouldn't hang out with you outside of work, kind of thing. And you don't always get to pick and choose who those people are.
Right.
Thankfully, on the things that I've worked on, I've been around the right people. I've had nothing but wonderful people that I've worked with. But what I'm saying is, it's important to know that, especially if you're doing something like I did with Are You There, that you're working with people that you can stand being around, all, like, for long periods of time, and that you guys can jive and talk and communicate well with. Because Tina Fey actually talked about it in her book, Bossy Pants. And she was talking about what it was like to work at SNL, and to like, what her philosophy was on, like, dealing with people and hiring people or working with people. And she said, I like to work with people that I know that I can stand being around at like 3 a.m, because there are times where, with this industry and like with this kind of work, that you might be with somebody on set at 3 a.m. And are you a fucking peach at 3 a.m. some days? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right? Like, have you eaten? Are you grouchy? Did you have a curmudgeonly moment? Did you have a tantrum like a 3-year-old in the corner? Like, did you need a timeout for yourself? Did you need a sip of water and a lay down and a nap? Like, did you do these things as a human? And sometimes the truth is, like, you're not always going to be a prize peach. And you have to remember that. But you also want to be around people that you know that you can stand being around, right? At 3 a.m. as well, who are not going to be doing those things, and who bring a level of professionalism to the table. I genuinely feel really grateful, because the people I have worked with so far in this industry, I just, like I said, like, I have nothing but great things to say about most people. I think that there's just so much talent out there, and I'm always blown away by what other people do and their contributions and what they can, like, the way they think, their creative process. So it's a very humbling industry, because, somebody could say, hey, you're really talented, and you're like, wow, thanks, that's really sweet, but like, half of this credit belongs to the cinematographer who like sweat endlessly and like stood there patiently doing something and threw at his back, and then had to take, like, he was out of commission the next day and didn't complain about it, but he did this job so that you got this footage. Or the sound recordist who stood holding a boom mic for like the majority of a 12-hour day. And like, people don't think about like the fact that it takes a village, right? To make these things. So it's just, again, having, like, recognizing the people who are on your team, and then also like having a great team of people, and like really just, I think it's a really important thing to recognize other people's value and their gifts.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You have a couple of films. Well, actually, Middle C.
Mm-hmm.
I got to see it, but is it out though? According to your IMDb, is not. It's upcoming.
Oh, so okay, it's complicated. I shared a link with you,
Right.
that was for YouTube, a list, like, of the films. So basically, what happened with Middle C, it was so fucking fun. And I swear a lot, and I apologize because I know you have children, but I don't mean to swear so much.
No,
I know
well,
you
actually, you're actually one of the people that has sworn the least. So you're good. You're
surprise,
good.
surprise, because this little potty mouth sailor needs to go back to her country with that stuff.
I
No,
appreciate you apologizing, but no, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
so my
And
that
all my kids, by the way, all my kids are adults. So
wicked. Well, they can fucking deal with it then. No. I forget, and then sometimes like my nieces, like I'll be on speakerphone with my family, and my nieces are 7 and 4, and I'm like, yeah, this guy was a fucking dick today. And it'll be like a driver that because I like, that's a very Toronto thing to do, is like badmouth a driver when you're in the car for the moment and then you let your anger go. But I'll be like, fuck him, and then all I hear is, Auntie Jackie, that's a bad word. And I'm like, yes, it was.
I'm sorry.
I did not know that you were in the car, and I've ruined your life. No. Middle C was a part of this. I was asked 2 years ago, and then it was reminded last year, but I was doing this film, Are You There, last year when this happened. So there was an overlap, so I just couldn't do it. But there's this thing called the Collab Film Challenge. And it's not the 24-hour film challenge. Those are, or 48-hour, I should say, film challenge. Those are different film challenges. This was a 2-week film challenge where you're given a prompt. If you can incorporate that prompt into your film somehow, and then you have 2 weeks to kind of get everything together around it. And that means the writing, your team, and then filming it, and then editing it. And it had a deadline of June 4th, and then it has to be submitted. And so we were submitted, and we were selected as finalists for the film festival for that challenge. And so there were 16 films, and we were one of them. And there were 125 films that were submitted, and out of 125, they only picked 16. So I was really like proud of our team for what we did with it. Mm-hmm. And then last weekend actually was a premiere for that film challenge, which is like a festival. And so we did a red carpet and everything for it. And then everybody got to see each other's, the finalists' films, and then voted. And ours won for best scoring. So Pietro, who is the composer, not Johnny, who was playing and singing in the piano music, but the actual scoring of the film and the composition of that. We won for that. And I was so, so proud of our director and our team. I'm sure that there's been conversations around putting that into other film festivals, because the film can be screened other places. So it just like finished essentially. So what you saw was not something that wasn't for public consumption. Like that is something that was out on YouTube as a list of the finalists. But I was really, really blown away by like all of the people who were finalists in the Collab Film Challenge. There were just some phenomenal films in there that, like, the cinematography was fantastic. The acting was phenomenal. I've gotten a lot of really great feedback about our film and for the acting. And I mean, given that thankfully that was the one thing that I was focused on in that film, I was like, well, I hope I can do this justice and work really well with this incredible person, because Johnny's a beautiful human. And he did a really phenomenal job. He actually wrote it as well. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was another good film. I enjoyed it as well. Yeah, great job by the both of you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was so yeah, that one is I'm really hoping that they decide to put that into film festivals. I also have another film that I did that's in post right now. And that one is, I'll send it to you when it's finalized so you can watch it. But that one is going to be put into film festivals as well.
Is that Two Term?
No, Two Term is another film that I have in pre-production.
Okay.
And it's something I really want to do. I just really want to do it well. That's a horror film.
A horror?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one of my brain babies that I really just want it to be good.
Well, and speaking on that,
Mm-hmm.
how do you create? How do you come up with these films? What's your inspiration? Is there something you dream about? And I've asked this to a few film creators, and I'm curious to know, how is it you guys come up with these films? The writing, how do you come up with how it's going to be executed?
I might be a different kind of writer than a traditional writer,
Mm.
because I started writing through sketch comedy, because that's when I was doing sketch a lot more. I used to write sketches. So you're taught to write sketches, and then you have to perform them, and then you kind of tweak them based off of what works for audience. Like, you get the live feedback from the audience because you're doing the sketch live, and it's comedy, so it's like timing and pacing is really important. And then I also studied script writing for television. So I've written a few spec scripts and like original scripts for television. But television writing is very different, and sitcom writing is very different than short films and genre specific films. Like, that's a different kind of writing. But my friend and I, like, as a writer, I've always done creative writing. Like, I used to do I used to do creative writing in school, and I also and did a lot of short stories. And then my friend and I used to write for Funny or Die when that was a thing, and did contributions. And I used to contribute to Canadian comedy websites, and do like articles and pieces, and like did that weekly. So I used to write a lot more. And then I also used to write like in competitions for like short stories, like horror and thrillers, like that couldn't be more than like a certain amount of words, or like you can only do like a page story or like whatever. And my friend Michael lives in Canada. We used to write together. We're writing partners at times, and he would say, hey, like, for fun, submit to this challenge or whatever, this writing challenge. So I've submitted to like Australian writing challenges or New York writing challenges here and there when I have the time. And so it keeps that muscle flexed, like coming up with stuff. But the reason I'm giving you this backstory is because I'm an actor. So I think a lot from the perspective of character first, and like the internal like feeling of like what it is that somebody is going through when they're going through something. So like when I write, I start inside and then it comes out. So it's internal then external. Some people, I imagine, when they're writers, like professional writers, would conceptualize the narrative of like the story first, or like the scenario first, and then the actor or the character like fits into the narrative, and here's how they fit in. So it's a different, I think I write in a different process. It's like I write backwards sometimes.
Yes, you do the character first, and then you build the story around the character.
Yes. And that can also happen when I'm on stage. Like if I do improv and I get a suggestion, right, and they give me something, I'm the kind of person, because I also do, like, I've done clowning. I like doing clowning as well. And I don't mean like a red nose clown, even though those are a thing. but like clowning as an art form, because for me, if I hear something, I hear a word and then I fall into the emotion, or I drop in, my body just falls into this shape. And I don't really know how to describe it other than like I just embody what I hear.
Mm.
So I like become that thing. And I've been asked before, like by instructors, like, was I a dancer? Am I a dancer? And I said, no. I love dancing. Um, I would be like the worst person to be a dancer though, because like I think I learned backwards because I'm left-handed. So everything I do is like this way. And I'm like, shit, it's supposed to be this way. So it's like, I fuck. And you're just trying to get it right. But like, yeah. But I've been asked that because they're like, you're very body, like you're very physical. You're a very body focused person. And I guess I just lead first with the physicality of something. And sometimes like doing a physical motion might make me think of a thought, that makes me think of a character, that makes me think of a situation that they might be in. And then I like reverse engineer their story. And then I write their narrative based off of that. So like I like create their story backwards, and then I write the story forwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very weird, I think.
You spoke about sitcoms, and I saw that I've seen on your IMDb page that you've been on shows, you've done episodes.
Mhm.
What was that like?
Oh my God. A gift. It's like it's to me it's no different than like doing these films, and like being like all of these projects are special to me. Being in
Mm.
a theater piece, like being asked to be in a clown show is just as equally as important to me as being on a sitcom. um, they're just different mediums, because one's a live feedback where you're getting the audience reaction in the moment, and then you can gauge, like you're connected to the audience, so like you're really just like, you can feel their energy when you're doing theater. And it's a very like you're sharing in a moment together, like immediately. Whereas when you're doing sitcom, and like film, you're sharing in a moment, in that moment, with the people that are in the room for sure. But then like it's like you have to take this microcosm of like, say, 5 people in a room, and then like translate that out to like the entire world, because
Yeah.
you want to connect with so many people. And the goal isn't to like, I'm not going to sit here and be pretentious or like narcissistic enough to believe that I have the ability to touch so many lives. But like, it's important to remember that when you are doing something like a sitcom, or you are doing a film or something like that, that there are going to be other people out there that can be influenced by it,
Hmm.
and may be influenced by the things that you're doing. And my hope is, like I said, to do something that's um, firstly, I just want to always bring my best to the table. That's the most important thing. But the second thing is that I hope that whatever I do in my life, my goal or my purpose is that I leave other people feeling like seen and heard and loved, because that's an important thing in this world.
Yeah. Yeah, it
So,
is. And any thoughts of doing more sitcoms or more shows?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I would absolutely love to be doing film and television on a grand scale. That's obviously the goal of what I'm doing. But like I said, there's no project that's Bryan Cranston actually said this too. He was like, there's no role that's too small. There
Yeah.
really isn't, because every opportunity that you get to be doing something, whether you're PMing on a project or you're PAing, like production assistant, and you're running and grabbing somebody a coffee, like any opportunity that you have to work on your craft, to be on set, or to be working with a group of people, even if you're like in a community theater project and you think what you're doing is stupid, if you go in with the mentality that whatever you're doing is stupid or worthless, then that's how it's going to be perceived. But if you go in with the mentality that the thing that I'm doing right now as the assistant lighting, who's just keeping track of the timestamps, the time recording for the lighting cues, even if you go in with the mentality that what I'm doing makes a difference and I get to be here with joy and great gratitude for the people that I'm around and for this experience, that bleeds out into everything else that you do.
I love that. That's true. That's a good perspective. That's a good point.
So,
You did some voice acting also
mhm.
with We Bear Bears. Is
Yep,
that that was a kids
it's
show?
a good show. Yeah.
What was that like to do a cartoon character?
Well, animation, if I'm doing voiceover, especially like video games and animation are like my wheelhouse because I do a lot of voices.
You do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like uh I do an incredible amount of like voice work, like silly voice and grounded voices and everything. But so being on that show was a gift. And it was just really like it was really cool to go into Cartoon Network and like see all of the old drawings of like Dexter's Lab and like Powerpuff Girls and all of this stuff. And you're like, oh my God, like these are some of the original drawings from like the show and they're up on the wall. And you're like, it's kind of like you're in like, I don't know, like this very special place where you can be really silly and goofy. And like again, like when you're working on something, you're obviously working to do your best.
Hmm.
But especially if it's like a comedy or there's comedy involved, like if I can make somebody laugh, that brings me joy. You know, that's something that really matters to me.
Any interesting stories on auditions or on sets?
Uh I mean, when you say interesting, do you mean um like give me your parameters of interesting?
Anything like something happening? Like for example, I believe the one of my guests told me that they were filming at an abandoned house and they had weird noises going on there, and so also there's been other stories where somebody getting sick, and so any stories like where
I wish I had spooky haunting stories because wouldn't that be great?
that'll
Like
be awesome. I
that would
love
be so
and it's
wicked.
it's funny because I'm a Christian, and many people you're a Christian, you like horror films. Man, I love horror films.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love horror films.
your religious background has no bearing on your appreciation for
Of
horror.
course not. No, I appreciate it because it doesn't affect my spirit. It doesn't affect my. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't. If I watch a film and I go, I can't sleep at night. That's a problem. No, I sleep just as fine. I go. Um. So I appreciate film, and I appreciate Oh man, especially the spookier the better. Though
Yeah.
I love ghost stories. I love ghost
Same.
stories.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
I
do.
love
I
being
do.
spooked out. It's the best.
Me
Like I said,
too.
there's a little part of you that's like, but like, give
Oh
me
yeah,
it's it's no different than going on a roller coaster. It's the adrenaline, you know?
absolutely, absolutely. For example, I remember the first time I saw Exorcist.
Oh my God, such a great film.
Well, it is, but to me, to this day, the scariest film of all time.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. It's such a great film because it leaves a psychological impact on you, right?
You want to know how old I was when I first saw the film?
Perfect. Can't wait. Tell me.
21.
Oh
I
no.
was always too scared to watch it.
Yeah. My dad made me watch that when I was either
Made you
12
watch
or
it?
13. Yeah. I was either 12 or 13. No, there was a lot of maids. I definitely watched that and I remember being spooked by it because he also presented it as though like my dad's a jackass. but he presented it with the concept of, no, that's actually a thing that happened. That's real. She was really possessed, and he just kept trying to convince me that it was real. And I was like, cool. And we had a Ouija board in the basement. And I remember afterwards going, well, I don't think I need to be around that. I also don't really want to be in the basement of this house, because I definitely feel like if there is a Captain Howdy that's actually the devil, he can have the basement. Like, it can be his. Like, he can rent it. The cost of living is high. Just let him pay some rent. He's good. That's his domain. Like, mind your business. Like, you don't need
the further away he is, the better.
You don't need to ask him if his room's clean or if his space has been cleaned up. Like, it's good. Like, he's good. Like, it's all good. Captain Howdy's just vibing downstairs. You just leave him the fuck alone. And in fact, if you're really like worried about it, you know what? Like, he can just have the house. Like, you don't have to live there. Like, it's a choice. I don't know.
If he says, hey, get out. Yes, sir.
Well, yeah, no. In Poltergeist, when they're like, get out, I was like, fucking let them have it.
Yeah, man.
I don't know who the fuck is stupid enough to be like, but what do you mean?
Now I'm putting my foot down. No. See ya. Peace out.
Yeah. Like, no. And I'm going to tell you right now, I did grow up in situations where, like, whether or not you believe in spirits or energy or any of that stuff, or whether or not it's like data driven, and like you're a more data driven person and you feel like there's an explanation for everything. Because my mom was a person who believed that everything had a reason. It was very scientific minded, like very analytical. And my dad's much more the fantasy person. So like Lord of the Rings and like Harry Potter and like Chronicles of Narnia and things like that. My mom's more like, I read like mysteries, like Dolores Claiborne, and by like Stephen King and stuff like that. Both of them love Stephen King because there's an overlap there. Mm-hmm. But like, or she would read like mystery novels and stuff like that. But my mom wasn't and she liked biographies. Both of them love to read. They're voracious readers. But my mom was like, there's a reason for everything. So like if I put on a horror film, she'd be like, that's boring. That's not real. That wouldn't have happened. I bet you that sound probably came from something just falling off the wall. But then like people like me are like, that thing that just fell off the wall because there's a fucking demon behind that goddamn board in the other room. And like, even though like it's because like our imaginations are like very like broad, right? But my mom's just like, it's not real. And I'm like, you're such a dick. But like, yet it's not that she didn't have fun with films and stuff like that. Like she liked to watch stuff, but she was just very much like, I don't believe in that stuff. But I personally lived in a home where that same house that I'm talking about, that like where I watched The Exorcist, where I had three older brothers living in the house. They all respectively had girlfriends. Okay. My dad and his wife lived there, and then me. A full, as they say, house, not the house of Full House, but a full house. And like each one of us had an experience in that house where we heard things.
You see, those are the kind of interesting stories I was asking about.
Yes.
On set or something, but great. Tell me. Like what? Give me an example.
I don't have any. Again, I wish I had those on set. But
no, that's fine. But the house.
Because when we shot Middle C, we shot it at a historical venue, and I did get a vibe in that venue because it's been around like since like the 20s. I was like, oh man, it's like the Women's Club of Hollywood. It's like this really fucking cool, like historic building. So cool. And it just feels a little bit like
Eerie.
It's almost like the Overlook Hotel. Like you get that like, I don't know if I'd want to be in here late at night. Like I don't want to be in this kitchen at night. Like it doesn't feel.
I feel like a knife is gonna come at me or something out of nowhere.
Yeah. Or like you turn around and you see like in the reflection of something like a steel piece, you see something in the background and you're like, fuck this shit. Again, me, I'm like, bye. I'm not stupid. I don't need to die today. You can have it. I don't need to explore this. There are people who want to die, who are willing to explore things. That is not me. I will watch the story of their demise. I don't need to be the one who dies.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I've always been curious, and I love watching YouTube videos on people exploring places like that.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do it.
Oh,
just never actually done it.
JC, I'll tell you a story, and I promise that'll be the last thing I tell you.
No. I'm enjoying this.
But my when I was in high school, maybe it was just out of high school, there used to be this asylum, because back in the day they called them asylums, and it was a psychiatric hospital, and it was abandoned, and it was on like close-ish to the waterfront in like a town, city area back home. And the area, like it encompassed a lot of space. There were a lot of like separate parts of this like asylum if you were to have seen it. But the bottom line is that it was an abandoned building. And so a group of us, I don't remember who, which is a bad thing, but a group of us went, and we were like, hey, we're going to explore this place. So they were like, well, who's going to go in there? And at the time I'm like, me. And I walk in there and I like start going through, and there's like paint like peeling down the wall. It's literally the thing that you would see in a horror film, like where they would do the set dress for it. It's peeling off the walls because the moisture has taken, you know what it's like in Florida, like when there's enough moisture, it like peels like the finish and like the drywall and everything down. The boards are all like all over the place. There's debris all over the ground. And we're walking around and they have these incredibly like sterile and kind of like just sad looking cells. There's rust on the doors, all of this stuff. The cells are very small. They don't have they have a tiny window. And I was like, I'm going to go in some of these rooms, and people were like, oh, don't, like, it's freaky. And I'm like, if you shut up for a minute, I can tell if there's something right here. Like, I'll be able to like get a sense of this. But if you're like, oh, like, it's like, I can't, like, if I were a ghost, I'd be like, can you just wait until I actually scare you? Can you just give me like 2 minutes, please? I didn't even get an opportunity yet. Anyway, so I'm like walking around, taking it in. And then we found a staircase, and I'm like, something's really fucking weird down there. Like, I just got a vibe. I was like, are we going down there? And at that point, that's when I started to get hesitant. And they were like, no, let's go. And I'm like, all right. But like, you know, not unlike the Black Eyed Peas, I've got a feeling. And I'm like, I don't know that I want to go down there, but let's go. So we start going down. And when we get down to the bottom, there's a sign that's on the wall. And I was like, as we were walking, I was like, oh, this doesn't feel right. We get down there and there's a sign on the wall. It says morgue. And we were in the morgue. Like, I got the sense that like there were like, I can only tell you a feeling. I don't know. I can only tell you that I get those sometimes, but something about it just registered to me that it was like sad and like unsafe. And then when I got downstairs and I saw the morgue sign, I was like, makes sense. And so we went in and I was like, I don't know, guys, like we don't even have flashlights. Like, I don't know if I even want to be down here because like it doesn't feel good. It feels unsafe and it feels bad. And I'm going to tell you that that place has obviously since been demolished and taken away, which bummer, but also like then they built condominiums and houses over top of it. And all I can think of is like, oh, remember like the indigenous burial grounds that they built over in Poltergeist, and that like they actually like built over all of these things and they built houses? Yeah, like maybe they're being haunted by those people. Who knows? But I'm going to tell you, I would never buy a place there.
It would need to be prayed over, but put holy water on it, or
yeah, or just not live there. Like just like
yeah.
there. Like you don't. Again, if the truth is that there are things like this in the world, or there are those experiences, all I can say is like it's their land now.
Well,
it's not yours.
Quick story.
Yes.
When we lived, I think I told you I was born and raised in Florida.
Yeah.
And back in 2006, we moved to Georgia.
Okay.
And we found a home, $1,000 a month. Yeah, stop. Really, for a lot of people, that's expensive. No, it wasn't. When you compare it to Florida, even in 2006, that was very cheap.
Yeah.
And I was doing a rent to own. Come to find out that you felt something in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But my next door neighbor told, hey, did you ever find out about what happened in the house? No. What happened? Well, in your bathroom, the master bathroom, the husband committed suicide.
Yeah, I knew it.
In the living room, the daughter committed suicide.
Oh my God.
The son did commit suicide in the house, but committed suicide outside his girlfriend's house. The sole living survivor of the house, the wife, ended up selling the home and moving to Atlanta. Because we didn't live in Atlanta. We lived not far from Atlanta, but we lived in the outskirts of Atlanta. And I go, okay. I called the owner. I go, hey, when were you going to tell me about the deaths in the house? You forgot to give me that information. We're gonna live out the rest of the year, and we're moving.
Yeah, no,
and I didn't feel, not that I was scared. I just didn't feel comfortable. Just them lying to us, and then and we did feel something, and then I ended up praying. We prayed and all that stuff, and I think our pastor came in and prayed also. And we felt good, but I just didn't feel comfortable living there anymore.
I wouldn't either.
It just it felt weird. It felt weird. I go, it's a sad home.
It's a sad home, and it's like the thing is like I feel like if you walk into a place, sometimes you can tell when something just doesn't feel right, if it feels off, and like you can just tell. Like in my place now that I'm in, I always feel safe. And that's all I can say is that I feel like a sense of ease, like it's a gentle feeling. But I've definitely lived in a house or houses where I'm like, I don't kind of want to be in that room at night. Like, again, the basement in my house, and I'm not like a freaked out by basements kind of person. But the basement at my dad's old house, like, where the Ouija board was, it's not because there was a Ouija board down there. It just gave off like this, I don't really want to be in this place kind of vibe. But things happen on the main floor too. Like our piano would be playing sometimes.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, things like that. Or like one night I went out, and again, I know I have older brothers and stuff like that, but like they were asleep. I know that they were not up because I'm a light sleeper. And I went out of my room to walk over to go to the bathroom. and I open my door and the bathroom's here, and I look and I hear the shower running. It's like 3 a.m, but the lights aren't on in the bathroom. I'm like, that's yours, my friend. Whatever that is, like I don't need to pee anymore. Good. I'll keep it.
You see, I love stories like that. I just don't ever want to experience it.
I don't even trust me. I don't want to either because I want to live in a home where I feel safe. That's the bottom line.
But I love hearing those stories.
Yeah, same.
I love watching on YouTube.
Part of them. I don't need to be the center of that story.
No, like, I don't want to be part of it. Let's wrap up with this. What are your goals? What are your ultimate? I know you told me that part of what you're doing is to be, but what is your just tell me what are your ultimate goals as for your career overall, directing, all that stuff, and acting?
I mean, obviously, I think my biggest goal is acting and having a full long career. Like if I can be like Betty White or Dick Van Dyke or somebody who like lives until they're like, or Mel Brooks, who like,
my God,
you know, who's living until they're like almost 100 and they're still doing things and bringing art to the world and making people laugh or making people like feel something or any of that. That's my goal. And like to do it at like a grand scale, that would be the best. That's my dream.
And that's a beautiful goal, Peter. Let me tell you something. I mean, look, the guy, Dick Van Dyke. The guy, I think, has he turned 100? He's gonna be 100 this year, I think.
Yeah.
The guy's still around. I think he just had a health scare a couple days ago. I believe his wife posted that.
Yeah.
So I hope he's doing okay. But
same.
Just the fact that he's just having health issues now.
Yep.
And 99 years old.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, and like my family, they're a group of peeps who like will live a long time. My grandmother just passed away last year, and she would have been 99 last year.
Wow.
You know, and like my grandpa's 96. He just turned 96.
Wow.
So like my goal is to do that too, you know, to live a long life, and to experience a lot of life. But like in terms of like my career and everything, it's like I said, like I have big dreams and big goals, and my, you know, like I know not everything happens the way that we want it to in the world, but that's the dream. And like again, it's a big part of it is like connecting with people, and like part of my life is just about showing up for other people and like creating a world like where I can, like through my life experiences, like creating a place where people feel like important and special themselves when I'm around them, and feel seen or heard or like, you know, like valued, because like life's short and the world's smaller than you think it is, you know? So
I mean, it's but a blink of an eye. I mean, we think, well, we live a long life, 100 years. For those who do get to live 100, it's really not a long time, considering how old the Earth is and how long humanity. With this, yeah. I mean, what can we expect from Jackie the remainder of this year and going into 2026? What can we expect from you? What's in on the horizon?
So like I said, I have my other short that's being edited and in post right now. I have a few projects that I'm going to be working on for the remainder of the year. I'm going to Midsummer Scream Convention in August, and I'm also doing Seattle WorldCon in August. So they're the same weekend. So Are You There is going to be there. I'm not sure about other film festivals as they come up. Hopefully there's more there. And and just any artistic work that I can be a part of. That's the goal.
Cool. Yeah. Anything else you want to share, or any advice you want to give to somebody who, especially the women who are, because yeah, we're seeing more females, more women coming out directing and which is awesome, but
Yeah.
it's still very dominated by men. Am I
Mhm.
correct? So
I
what
think
advice do you
we're
have?
seeing a lot of change, but yeah, my, I mean, who am I to give advice? But the one thing I will say, here's what I'm going to say,
Hmm.
which is something that I said to you before at closer to the beginning of this, which is if you can have a little light that you keep on the top of a staff or like a sword, like Bilbo Baggins while he's in the Misty Mountains when the sword starts to light up, sting, and you can carry that to freedom, and you can use that as your guide, and you can that has to obviously come from inside. It's an inherent thing, and it comes from your own value of yourself and your self-worth. The more you can like connect with yourself and believe in yourself despite the odds and despite what anybody thinks of you, um, and tune out as much of the destruction and the noise that's around us at any given time. If you can focus on appreciating yourself, where you are, your journey, and having gratitude, and trying to walk through the world with gentleness and kindness to the best of your ability on a day-to-day basis, I think that carries people forward. And my hope is that more people trust their voices inherently, to know that there's something, like, again, so important and special about what they have to offer the world, because you're here now, and you're alive. So you don't have to worry about wasting your time wondering if you have purpose or needs or value, but instead trusting that there's something inherently valuable about you and who you are, and trying to walk through the world to spread that too.
Mhm.
And that bleeds into everything that you do. That work bleeds into your work, that bleeds into your relationships. It's like the ripple effect, right? You throw a stone into the pond, it doesn't ripple inward, it ripples outward. So like it will affect everything else that is around you when you do that. So trying to carry that core belief in yourself of worth at any given time, and trusting that your voice matters always. I think that's a really important thing.
I like that. Yeah, that's good advice. Folks, Jackie's information will be on the description, her link, her IMDb page. Make sure, if you guys know me, you guys know that my focus is on my guest. So make sure you share, like, and subscribe. But most importantly, share so people can know who Jackie is, and they could check out her projects, and you'll get to know more about her. Because I'm going to be sharing more about her as more stuff comes out. I'm going to be, yeah, Jackie, I'm going to be sharing your stuff. I'm going to be promoting your stuff left and right.
Thanks, Jason.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining me.
You're such an incredibly wonderful person, and I just want to say thank you so much. I think your wife is so wonderful, and I think you're so wonderful, and I'm just truly grateful. I think I'm here to support the shit out of you too. I hope you understand that.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you
Um,
so much. That
I
means a
just,
lot.
yeah, I hope you can just have such a beautiful day today, and just again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for joining me, guys. Enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the show, and make sure you share.